All right, everybody. Welcome, everybody, back to our very final grad defense. It has been an incredible weekend. Finish with Ahanu. Ahanu, we're going to run down the line and have the panel introduce themselves to you, and then you can take it away. Cool. You start?
Yeah, it was nice to meet you a little bit earlier. Carl Segerstrom, he, him, pronouns. I am the Communications and Storytelling Manager at Carl Foundation.
Hello, I'm Scott. I teach at Eastern Washington University for the past 32 years now, and I'm a board member of Gonzaga's trustees.
Hello, can you pronounce your name for me again?
Ahanu.
Ahanu.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Cheryl, a retired principal from Alaska.
Oh.
Very, very happy to be back in contact with students like yourself.
How long were you principal
Look forward to
for?
your story.
How long were you principal for?
25 years. An eternity.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Levine. I'm an HR specialist at Spokane Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Jackie Broch. I am also an HR specialist at Spokane Public Schools.
Well, it's nice meeting all of you. I'm Ahanu, and this is my senior grad defense. So, since I was, one thing that I've worked towards for most of my life is being an architect, specifically civil engineering. Right now I'm going to community college early, and after 2 years I plan to attend WSU to get my civil engineering degree. I believe that without transferring to the community school, none of these possibilities would have been within reach. And knowing this, you might ask, how did I get here? I feel like I was more directionless than most kids after COVID. I was doing amazing at first. I was passing in most of my classes half a year early. I transferred to AP Math midway through the year because I've already finished my earlier math credits. Except that left me with nothing to do but eat, sleep, and listen to myself think for hours on end. I didn't have any plans for college at the time or extracurriculars that I could attend. And after a while, those hours turned to months, and those months turned to years. And once you drag that kind of kid back out into society is where the real issues begin kicking in. I isolated from most of my peers. I started to have frequent panic attacks. I tried taking medication for eating or sleeping, but none of those seemed to work. I tried doing counseling, but that didn't seem to work out either. I rarely talked to anyone freshman year, mostly because I just stopped liking people, not my peers, not my teachers, not my counselor, and especially not myself. I couldn't remember spending a night without wishing I didn't have to wake up anymore, loathing myself because I just wasn't good enough. Because I did want to change, I did want to be social, and I did want to have friends that I hung out with. And that continued for about a year and a half until it was clear that either I changed something or I wouldn't make it through high school. Midway through sophomore year, I transferred to TCS, and to be honest, the first year was harsh. I was still struggling, and I was still isolated from most of my classmates. But one thing that did help me was being able to talk to teachers about my issues. It was a lot easier than Cheney. The teachers or educators over there felt more impersonal or disconnected, mostly because the classes just switched around so much that it was hard to make any sort of connection. But one thing that we did talk about a lot was my social skills. I've been told that I treat conversations more like transactions and that I treat people like coldly or blunt, or as Nate would put it, like a vending machine. I didn't know how to talk to people at all, really. And even now I miss small cues whenever I'd talk to someone, like small details that I have to remember about them, like birthdays. Stuff like that is something that I just can't remember for the life of me. I even forget my own birthday sometimes, and that's coming from someone who's supposed to be good with numbers. But it took an enormous effort to improve on my social skills over the years, and it's something that I still work on to this day, but I believe that I've reached a point where I can feel that I'm okay with where I'm at. Most of our classes at TCS revolve around going out and doing something for the community. like photography, construction, or media production. And most of these projects coincide with my hobbies. My main hobby would have to be photography, specifically astrophotography. I feel like standing out there at night, it's really something to capture a shot of something that's literally millions of years away. But like this one time that I had to wait all night in my backyard to get a shot of the northern lights. And after that, me and my dad drove all the way out to Grand Coulee to get a picture of the Milky Way. I hope that at some point I could travel somewhere where I could get the night sky in its full beauty without all the light pollution or infrastructure surrounding it. And that leads into my other hobby, which is media production. I believe that over the years I've improved in video editing, Photoshop, all of that, and it's something we use extensively in our TCS assignments. One of these assignments was going around Spokane and interviewing people about social issues, and then we had to make a whole news report out of it. And after that, I made a short film dedicated to science or math concepts in science. Another passion of mine would have to be home improvement, which really means that I impulse buy furniture at Goodwill. But I believe that it builds independence in designing your house or your room how you want, or doing small repairs that you otherwise would have to ask a contractor to do for you for a hefty sum. This also plays into a lot of TCS projects, like building sheds for Habitat for Humanity, and before that it was a small chair that we built out of used wood pallets. And both of those actually take a lot more precision than I was expected to earlier. And I believe that out of all those hobbies, home improvement would be something that helps me way down the line. I believe the third year that I went to TCS, I did a lot of catching up on stuff that I missed out earlier. Like my grades started to improve, and my collaboration skills improved a lot from the mess it was before. I believe that's because I put an actual effort into connecting with my peers than I did previously. But that did not come without a lot of hiccups. For example, procrastination. All of my assignments, or most of my assignments, were turned in either last minute or way after the deadline. And it's still an issue that I deal with to this day, though in like a smaller kind of. But I tried fixing this or circumventing this by setting alarms for myself or writing reminders. But that's another thing that I had an issue with, which was writing. I really, really hated writing. Every time I looked at a writing assignment before, I just got this twinge of dread. And there's been times where I just don't send emails or don't turn in assignments because I just don't know how to write. But even opening the document just killed all my motivation for it, and that made me procrastinate it even more. But after going into Running Start, I had to get serious about my education. So all those old habits started to die off. And one of the main reasons for that would be going to college a year early. I'd be the first in my family to, I'd be the first in my family to take a Running Start class. And first off, I started on Math 107, which was one of my strong suits. I was more prepared for the harsh college environment that you see on TV shows or movies, but it was actually a lot more welcoming. The professors were a lot more easygoing and lenient than I would think. And I ended up passing Math 107 with just short of a 4.0. But the real challenge was taking Sociology 101. First off, it was a writing class, and it was a heavy notes class, and neither of those I enjoyed, at all. But after months of hard practice and research, I finally got to where I could figure out what I even needed to take notes on. And with that effort and some guidance from my peers, I finally got around to making a more legible note system. So I went from more scribbles and chicken scratch to something more organized like these. And this is something that I think has improved my organization skills just in general. And after all that effort, I passed sociology with around a 3.7. As of this moment, I'm currently finishing up photography 101. The funny thing is, I thought it was digital photography, not film photography, so I was like really confused when the professor started mentioning like using a dark room or developing. Right? But when it comes down to it, it's a really fun process that when I get to like actually have photos that I can hold in my hand and it's not just like a JPEG or a PNG file. These are some of the ones that we've done previously. This is one that I took right inside the school actually. They're a bit dark when you hold them out like this, but I believe over time it's something that I'll massively improve on. And some of the field trips we take there are like super fun. Like we recently went to the Masonic Temple to take some like super dynamic looking shots, like this huge ballroom we had, and this like giant stairway that I got all the way down to the bottom of, and like took a picture from the floor, like the stairs spiraling all the way up. It was really cool. But I believe that one of the main reasons I've even gotten into civil engineering was my grandfather. He's probably the biggest role model on architecture and home improvement that I've had thus far. Previously, he's built our garage. He's built most of the buildings on our property, and he's made our house that we live in, like from hand. And I even wrote like a scholarship essay on just how big of an inspiration he's been on my life. Like most of the personal projects that I make are taking things apart or putting them back together, and he's taught me how to do that since I was really little. For example, helping him build our house over the course of 5 years is an experience that I still use to this day. And I believe that without his shoulders to stand on, I would have never been able to reach this high. As of now, I believe that, as of now, I believe that I have most of my future plans laid out in front of me. I have a stable job at Amazon. I have my car paid up, my college plans all lined up. And for summer, I'll be taking the quarter off just to work or focus on work and hang out with friends. But after I'm finished with Spokane Falls Community College, I plan on transferring to WSU for 2 years to get my degree in civil engineering. And after that, I plan on moving abroad on either residency or a work visa, most likely from Amazon or some other related career. My number one pick for moving abroad would have to be Norway for its gorgeous scenery and its massive job opportunities in my field. But that does not come without huge hurdles. But with the right guidance and perseverance, I feel that I'll be able to overcome them. In this last slide, I'd like to thank my family for all the support, my advisor, Nate, and the rest of the TCS staff, and my friends. And without friends, family, and teachers, my dreams of moving abroad would stay a dream. But now it's something that I can make a reality. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation, Ahanu. It's so cool to see how your interests have come together and created like a vision for you of how you want to move forward.
Thank you.
There's one thing I heard that I think it was kind of an aside, but it really stuck out for me as you talked about in your sociology class, getting guidance from your peers and working together to build those skills. And I just wanted to hear a little bit more about what that experience was like for you, and how you're going to lean into that community of people who can support you.
Well, initially I took the class with two of my friends that decided to take the same class because we were all going to Running Start. And it was one of my friends, she was like super smart, like had 5 different college classes, and she obviously knew how to write a lot better than I did. So I think in the future, instead of trying to do everything myself like I usually would, I should start relying on my peers for guidance.
I'm amazed at all the challenges that you faced and come through with. And I think you now are even doing something that I would never do, and that's move to another country. That's a great thing there. I'm still trying to get used to the one I was born in. So, but when you consider that kind of challenge and you look back at what you used to be, how would you say, what has made you able even to have the capacity and potential to want to take on that kind of challenge after all that you've gone through? You're well above sea level now, and rather than coast in the waves, you want to keep going up. Are you passionate about going to Norway besides the job opportunity with the challenge that's facing you?
On the first part, I believe that something that's pushed me through all this time is perseverance. And that's something that I really like.
Yeah.
No matter the odds, I always want to pull through every time. You know, even if I'd screw it up, then I'll just have to do it right the next time,
Yeah.
and the next time over until I eventually get it right.
Uh,
But even with that, something that's supported me all through this time is the people around me. You know, without them, I would have, like my grandpa, my mom, my dad, my teachers, my friends, I would have never been able to get this far just on my own. But besides the job opportunities in Norway, something that I admire about that country is their highest living standards, or one of the highest living standards in like all the world.
Yeah.
And like the mountains are beautiful if you've seen those.
Yes.
It also has the best public education, one of the best public educations that I know of. And it's honestly a better work-life balance over there than there is here, working at 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Well, that sounds great. I'd love to hear your stories if you ever come back and share with the faculty here what you've experienced over there.
Thank you.
It's a great thing you're doing to go to such uncharted territory. You've come through so much. You're on your way. The sky's the limit. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ahanu. I really got a lot out of what you said, because I'm an introvert. And I refuel by being alone. And there's so much activity in our lives, it's sometimes hard to create that space. So I could definitely see it in your passion for the dark and the astrophotography.
Yeah.
A little bit of romance, I think, with Norway that way. They have wonderful northern lights.
Mhm.
Great darkness where you can truly see the heavenly bodies, just
Yeah.
orbiting and beautiful. I would ask you, do you ever hear your grandpa's voice in your head talking to you?
I guess sometimes, I feel sometimes whenever I'm making a big decision,
Yeah.
it feels like he's there to guide me, kind of.
Yeah.
But he's not dead or anything. He's just in Mexico.
So he can be right here talking to you.
Yeah.
All right.
And he talks a lot.
Excuse me for making an assumption. But I think you have, you have a connection with your grandfather.
I do.
That will see you through, and you thought very maturely about your goals.
Yeah.
You're thinking practically, maturely, you're recognizing the growth that you've made and that needs to continue to be made in social skills.
Mm.
But, while we were all milling, you came right up to me, and shook hands, and I really respect that.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing what you do with your life.
I don't believe I'm really an introvert of sorts. Like, I do like being around people at points, but sometimes it just feels easier to like be alone, you know?
Right.
Like, I want to be around people, but I just don't really have the tools to get there. And that's something that I'm going to have to work on for most of my life, probably.
Yeah.
And I really do see the connection between liking astrophotography and liking being alone. It's really like I'm the only one in the world, and it's just me and the stars. But, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic presentation. I
Thank you.
enjoyed the short film and kind of the stylistic film editing that you had in there. Yeah, just really enjoyed hearing about your journey. I think it'll go very far in civil engineering. My question on a little bit of a different topic is I studied Sweden in college for about a year. And my question is, how are you going to prepare yourself for the culture shock? Because while most people speak or do speak English there, a lot of the signage, a lot of the cultural norms are vastly different from the United States.
Yeah.
How are you going to prepare yourself for navigating that different social environment and being around people from a different culture?
Once I start going to college, I plan on taking either online or like in-person Norwegian classes, or yeah. But I've looked into the culture a bit, and it does seem like it's a lot more like spaced out than American culture. Nobody really seems to talk to each other that much.
Yes.
And it's something that I'd appreciate for the most part, because I'm not really too fond of making small talk with someone on the elevator or something.
Yes,
But
that's spot on. Yeah, people don't really interact very much.
Yeah.
It's actually seen as like a social faux pas. So I'm glad that you're aware of that.
Mhm.
And I would recommend, I know we have a lot of Coug fans in here, but University of Washington does have a Scandinavian charter where they will always have conducted classes that teach on Scandinavian topics. So that might be a resource for you.
Thank you. I really do appreciate the compliments on the film I made. It was actually based off of a 1982 film, I think, called Journey to the Center of the Triangle. And it was made using like the same kind of colors and shapes that they used to use, but it was like way back then. And I thought it was really fascinating to see how they would move all the shapes around and make them like split in half or like twirl around back then, when they didn't really have such advanced technology as we do now.
You definitely captured that feel, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for sharing with us. One of the things that stuck out to me was something you said just towards the end here was work-life balance in Norway. There's a work-life balance. It's like, that's very mature of you to be thinking about that already, because I can tell you a lot of, well, I can speak for myself that I don't really think like that, and I should more. So good for you on that.
Thank you.
Continue to think like that. And then you mentioned your home improvement furniture. You like to purchase things from Goodwill. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Do you change them up, or do you keep them the way they are? What do you do with them?
Yeah, I do modify a lot of my furniture just to fit my needs a bit.
Uh-huh.
I actually have a computer desk that, so I took one of the doors off and I put it like right in front of the desk to put my keyboard on, and I just like screwed it right on the front. And I've been using that for like 3 years now. I didn't think it'd be that stable, but it was. And
Yeah.
a lot of my like shelving or like furniture that I have put up in my room is stuff that I make out of old supplies that I find. Like I have bookshelves made of old speakers that I've like emptied out, kind of like a pumpkin. Or shelving that shelving that I make out of like old boards, or I was thinking of making one out of like a skateboard. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
But it's really like, it's freeing to not have to deal with just having it in a set way, that you have to use it this set way, you know?
To be creative.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. And it sounds like you've got your plan laid out for you, and it sounds like a great opportunity, and I wish you all the best if you move to Norway, and
Thank you.
that sounds very exciting.
Ahanu, one other question. A journey to the center of gravity. What's that about? Where'd that phrase come from? What is that?
Triangle, right? Center of the triangle?
Yeah, it's a play on the original 1982 film, and I think it was made on like I think it's kind of written down somewhere, or not, but it was like some really advanced vertex system, voxel system that they used back then. But it's about So we had this class presentation on mass, and it's kind of cut off right here, but it shows like the whole formula and like a diagram of how it would work, like orbits and all that. And there's a small triangle right here that shows like how you calculate how far something goes around a circle, like using triangles, you know?
Okay.
And I thought it was really fun to work on. But yeah, that's where the name would come from.
I've been involved with health issues on and off with Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And one of the doctors there said, eventually, people end up not living so long or come to an end of their life because of gravity. Gravity just pulls us down, makes our veins not work so well, makes our back and bones do this and that. So I'm hoping you can maybe come up with a thing that would be anti-gravity, so we could live longer. But I'm sure you understand more of the dynamics than I do. But when I heard that from him, he said, really, it's gravity, that in the end, we can't live under that much pressure, under that longevity with our system. So
True.
I'm always struck about how to understand gravity better.
I actually heard that when astronauts spend like more than a year out in orbit, when they come back to Earth, they have to go through like readjustment therapy because like they can't walk as far because like the muscles in their legs stretch out and the bones start getting like kind of weak-ish. So it's a really it's a super hard adjustment. So I'm not sure how they'd figure that out when we eventually say go to Mars or Europa or any of that.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting topic on how all that works.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you.
Ahanu, we're so very proud of you. It's been a pleasure getting
Thank
to
you.
know you. I'm glad you came to us. Your sophomore year?
Sophomore.
Sophomore year. And it's been fun seeing you kind of reveal more and more about who you are as we come along.
Thank you.
Very well done. We're proud of you. Congratulations. Well, panelists, you know the deal. We got cookies. Need them gone. Grab some
Coffee
boxes.
mugs, take 'em, take
And
'em.
we have mugs over there. Our students have put together some gifts for you.
Marvel.
Everybody.
That sounds great.
Everybody like the